Welcome to the channel. If you guys can do the usual YouTubey thing and like and subscribe and all that jazz. As you guys see, I have SK Crypto here today. Looking forward to having really honestly kind of my first intro to Elephant Money. A quick little nugget of a story that I kind of talk with SK about a little bit. Because of DeFi, when I see things late, I avoid them. And this is probably the longest running one that I avoided because I thought it was too late. What, like over a year ago, probably. So boo on me for not taking the time, because obviously you guys are still here, and had I maybe got involved earlier, could have reaped some of the benefits of what you guys have done in the space. So I'm actually quite excited to have you on here and kind of going through maybe starting from the beginning, going through some info, and allowing my community and people who maybe come to watch this to try to see what their take might be on this. Obviously open to questions, guys. If you do so, just put them down in the chat. As always, we will get to them as they kind of fit within the conversation. I'll star them, so don't worry about putting them in now, and if I don't get to them, I will, I promise. But to start us off, since this is your first time on my channel, I'd love a quick intro of SK, who you are. I know we've chatted from time and time again on Discord or on Telegram, but let the community know who you are.
Yeah, happy to be here, Mr. Pocket Aces. Thank you again for the platform. And yeah, man, you and I have shared actually quite a few projects, and before we even knew each other.
Yeah.
And yeah, man, I'm excited to be here to talk about Elephant Money. Just so everyone knows, with your community who are new, I am not part of the team. You know, I'm just a passionate participant that has been in DeFi now for a little over 3 years. And I have gone through the gamut of projects, right? Like the dozens upon ROI dApps that have all come and gone, and the staking protocols and the Ponzi's and the rugs. I've seen it all, you know. And last man standing happens to be Elephant Money, and I think it's because of the founder himself. He's a docs dev. Also, the tokenomics, the liquidity, everything really just speaks for itself. And I'm happy to be here to share it and why it's my favorite protocol. Especially entering into a bull run.
Nice. Yeah, no, I agree. And again, like anything evergreen in the space, which is so hard to find, I agree. And I appreciate what you guys have done and how you've kept trekking through, even through some pretty big, I don't even know what the word is for it, but some pretty big news-worthy type of events on your guys' side. You've still found a way to, or Elephant Money, I guess not you technically, but you as the face or the person behind it or here for it, have really trudged through, and which is amazing, and definitely a kudos to Elephant Money and its ability to stand the test of time, which in DeFi is a hard thing to do. So I guess if you want to start with, sorry, go ahead. Okay.
Yeah, I was gonna say 3 years is an eternity. It's
exactly
nearly impossible. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And I guess actually I was thinking of other people that have been here for a while, and I didn't realize it was 3 years. So realistically speaking, I think, is it fair to say, and I guess be honest, because I can't think of anything that has been here that long that is here still.
Yeah, I would be willing to say that Elephant is the longest running, deepest liquidity platform that is still here. We came out before Drip. We're still here after Drip and all the other DeFi style projects like that. Yeah.
Hello, Huss. Welcome. So maybe if you want to start with just an overarching, because I don't want to get into too much of the weeds, because you guys have been here for so long, but maybe just a quick intro as to what's happened, where you guys have been, and then we'll let the conversation kind of go from there.
Yeah, no, certainly, man. So first and foremost, this is a project that is run by the founder, the dev. He's he codes what he can, and he envisions it, and then he codes it. He's been coding in DeFi for over 7 years now, but also Bank Teller is his handle, but he's docs. His name's Tony Perkins. And, he's an MIT scientist and has also had over 25 years in fintech. So he's been a CTO over at Fidelity. He's worked at State Street. He has coded things that are still being used today in those industries that handle trillions of dollars, Wow. So this guy has a well-versed background, and I can DM you his LinkedIn and everything. But this Elephant Money protocol is the culmination, though, of all of that experience, everything, every success, every failure, everything he's tried in DeFi across the Ethereum chain, Tron chain, and now on BSC for nearly 3 years. Actually, sometime in March is when it turns 3. But Elephant Money is the culmination of all of that. And yeah, what we're going to review is you're going to see the liquidity and why it's really run for as long as it has. But at the end of the day, what is Elephant Dot Money, right? So Elephant Money, what it aims to be, it's a financial cooperative where high yield is offered. And but to simplify it, it's just a community bank. It's a decentralized community bank, and offers a great store of value too with the Elephant token, which is fundamentally the entire backbone to what's here at Elephant Money.
Awesome.
So yeah, and then we can get into the tokenomics.
Yeah, and if you want to share any of the stuff you have, by all means, let me know. Actually, it looks like you brought it the same screen, so I'll let you take control, just because you've done this before, and I know you know your stuff, so that I'm not fumbling around trying to point at things that you want people to see. Um, so and amazing, and some really great points there that I think a lot of people who maybe have stayed away from it, just thinking it's just another project. 'Cause I think I still think, although how big it got, and it still is, and has and will continue to be, I don't know. I think some people have avoided it, just assuming it's Drip, because Drip got its limelight for a little while, which probably overtook some of Elephant's kind of grandeur. Um, and I think some of those points that you're saying, like the fact that he's worked for fintech for so many years, he is the dev, like everything starts and ends with him, which is pretty amazing. And the fact that he's got the smarts to back it up, unlike a lot of other devs. I mean, just to use Drip, not to FUD on them, but you got to look at the fact that it's just some dev guy who obviously had some smarts about him, but also didn't really have the backing and the background and the experience that I think someone like the bank teller has, which obviously helped with its longevity, which is pretty huge. So thank you for that.
Yeah.
And yeah, take us away, and let me see what you want to show us.
Yeah. So fundamentally, I'm going to start with the Elephant token. I don't think we'll have time, and maybe in another series we'll talk about NFTs and futures. But just
Sure.
understand, when I'm right here on the homepage, there are three central pillars to everything that makes Elephant Money tick, and it's because and everything from NFTs, if you guys are into that, or if you like annuity style, ROI DAP related contracts and futures, just understand that all of the incoming funds that go there, and you're chasing the yield that it offers, those incoming funds buys Elephant token. Okay. And specifically, when 100% of the mint value comes from NFTs, it buys Elephant token and stuffs it into this thing called the Elephant Treasury, aka Bertha. All right. So now let's go into the tokenomics, because besides the NFTs and the annuity style contracts, you've got the Elephant token itself, which has its own value capture, which is going to be so different from everything we've seen in anything in DeFi, really. So let me find a chart here put together by my good friend Jeb. All right. So this is a supply of the token, a pie chart right here. And so what everyone should understand is that Elephant token is fixed supply. Okay. There are 1 quadrillion tokens, or 1,000 trillion tokens, as some people like to think of it. And fundamentally, half of those 1,000 trillion tokens are in this smart contract called the graveyard. Okay. And it's not just a burn address, right? This is a smart contract. And because Elephant token is a reflective token, there is a 10% fee that is on buy, sell, and transfer, right? A portion of that, when bought on PancakeSwap, goes to the graveyard, okay, through reflections. So this smart contract always holds 50% of the supply, but over time, this number goes up to 51%. And when that happens, a rebalancing event occurs, okay? It'll rebalance back down to 50%. So you might be thinking, well, okay, 51 to 50%, where does that 1% go? And it goes right into the BNB LP. All right. It's a liquidity strengthening event and price hardening event that occurs. So if half of the supply is always going to be in this, graveyard smart contract, that leaves the other 500 trillion that's out there for us, right? So you've got the marketplace, which is what, the liquidity pools have. So you got the BNB and the BUSD LP pairs. You've got the participants, or what we call the herd, right? These are the humans that actually hold the token right here. And then you've got that elephant treasury, Bertha. Okay. Now, this is the linchpin to everything because of the value capture that I mentioned happens on this protocol. Bertha gets bigger over time and she pays the liabilities of the ecosystem. However, she is not a human, right? She doesn't have feelings, she doesn't have emotions, she doesn't panic sell like a human could. So, when you think of all these other things across crypto, Solana, Coin, BNB, Ethereum, all of those with adoption, they grow in price over time. And you got your bull and bear cycles. But what they don't have, that elephant does, is the elephant treasury, that value capture, that number one whale who does not dump on you. Okay. And because of that, because it's a fixed supply, the more that Bertha holds in her grasp, right? In addition to the graveyard, we get this term that the community calls supply shock. And that's why we've gone parabolic twice now on the chart. If I actually, where did I put my chart? It's right here. So this is the 2.5 year history of the token itself. Elephant, the protocol came out in March, but in May of 2021, it's been a while since I've said that, but yeah, that's when this token launched. And then we had our first parabolic run because Bertha was huge in token count. And collectively, we dropped those LPs. Every time we buy it out of the marketplace, right? We're pulling Elephant token out of the LPs and we caused a supply shock. Before then, one of your, you've heard, but one of the most notable things that happened was a $330 million flash loan that was on a mint redeem function, didn't breach the contract, right? But people would look at this and just be like, "Oh, yep, there's another one. This protocol's dead. Another one bites the dust," right? But no, it wasn't that. Everything was locked down such that we were able to rebuild. And Bertha, ultimately, what happened was Bertha was zapped of her token count through the mint redeem, and it's taken a long year and a half to get Bertha built back up. And then we had recently a second parabolic run, double topped high basically on the USD value. However, we did this second run while BNB coin was 50% less in value. If you remember back here, BNB was valued at like $430, and over here it was like 215. But anyway, so yeah, we're prepping up for the third parabolic run for a third year in a row. And yeah, it's all due to those supply shocking economics or tokenomics. Sorry.
Yeah, neat. And I can totally see that because obviously, if we were to take out Bitcoin and pull, what is it, 20, go back to that chart, sorry, if you were to pull 75% of it out of the market almost, because technically you've got the graveyard plus Bertha, yeah, you're talking 50, 60, 70% basically, right?
Yeah.
That's not accessible to humans. That creates a pretty big kind of liquidity pool that you don't have to worry about being shocked as deeply as something like BNB, Bitcoin, all that kind of stuff. So I can see how that mechanics would kind of save that price point from doing too much of a pump and dump, other than at specific times that you've shown there, which makes sense.
Yeah.
So very cool. Okay.
Yeah. And so I'll show on the Elephant Money stats page right here, but this is that Elephant Treasury that I was talking about. So, when you think back to this pie right here, 500 trillion is always going to be locked up in the graveyard. So of the remaining 500 trillion, look at Bertha's size. Okay, she has 198.5 trillion out of that available 500 that we're trying to get as humans, and we're trying to take them out of the LPs too. But because of this whale right here, this is what keeps that stability overall on the chart. Even though its volatility is actually fantastic for Elephant Money, just because of that value capture that I did mention. But if I go back and look at this chart, and if I were to just, I don't know, maybe zoom out to like a 3-day, it's still an overall upward trajectory, right? It's a good store of value over time, especially if you were early. But even with this most recent sell pressure that's happened since the beginning of October, this at the height right here, so zapped. Okay, she started back here at like 65 trillion tokens. Then over a year and a half, we grew her up to 100 trillion tokens, and then 150 trillion. Even right here, she was only at 175 trillion tokens, which is not what she was back here. Her all-time high token count was 212 trillion tokens. So she wasn't even quite where she was. Still nursing her back to health. But throughout this volatility, okay, this buy and this sell and some of the topmost whales, feeding into this distribution event here, she went from 175 trillion token count to the 198 trillion we're looking at right now.
Yeah.
And when it comes to the ingredients to this supply shock, this term that I keep mentioning, okay, it's really two things. It's a largely sized Bertha, which I'll go over these 3 years right here. But
Mhm.
besides a largely sized Bertha, you need those LPs. The marketplace, when we buy those tokens out, we shrink the token count in the LPs. And so whenever we drop it below 100 trillion in the
Yeah.
LPs, like we did the first time, you get that first parabolic run. Then in 2023, Bertha wasn't, as healthy as before, but we still drained the LPs way below 100 trillion and we got down to
That
84.
price bump. Yeah.
Hmm.
Well, and not only that, yeah, a chart like what you show there, they would have, if that was a regular token, because of the fact that not all that stuff's locked up, there'd be one hell of a much bigger dump going on in that right now, like with your three downward peaks right now. That's still very little volatility. I'm talking the second peak, and then all the downward that we're having right now. That is still really healthy-ish when you really think about it, because any normal token would have just been dropped like a rock without having that backup that Bertha has.
Yeah, it would have been
Like, it would
down
have
and
been
out,
gone by
you
now.
know.
It'd be
Most other DeFi protocols that we've existed alongside for a while. I mean, how many times have they had to go to like a version 2 token or something? Nothing's changed here fundamentally. So it's all about, yeah, Bertha growing in size. And now the mission, and it's clear for the herd right now, is look, we've got a Bertha who is not quite her all-time high of 212 trillion over here, but she's at
Mhm.
198 and a half. And so she's of size. So now we just focus on these LPs again. And right now we're sitting at 131, 132 trillion, somewhere in there. But we
Mhm.
drop that number back below 100 trillion and we start to supply shock again. And here's another interesting take on it. Despite the sell pressure that you've seen on this chart, I mean, you've had people, and there's no self shaming here at Elephant. Like, I'm happy they made their money. You've got some that put in maybe $150,000 way early on or throughout,
Yeah.
and they cashed out $2.4 million. I don't know how
Wow.
many other protocols can really do that and still survive with how much liquidity do we have right now? Lock liquidity still sitting above $70 million.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
we've withstood 4 months of, I don't know, 15 million plus dollars of sell, and yet we still sit on this deep liquidity, right? We've seen who's who in the herd, the die hard, the people that are here right now. We believe in those ingredients for supply shock. So it's
Yeah.
really impressive no matter how you slice it. But yeah, we just got to drop these LPs one more time, and then we go parabolic such that we get another chart like this. So this is 18 months worth of data, purely looking at price appreciation. And when you stack Elephant Token up against not only Bitcoin, but Apple and the
Yeah.
stock market, we've made more gains than all of them and are still sitting above where they are, right? And
Yeah.
that's because of that supply shocking and the ingredients that I mentioned. But we're just waiting for the third parabolic run to happen for a third year in a row. And even though right now the LPs, the marketplace is kind of bloated with its trillions of token count, we're just kind of following along with BNB right now. Even though for the last two plus years we've outpaced BNB
Yeah.
with no problem. Right now we're just hovering with BNB. It goes up 10%, we go up 10%. But pretty soon, once those LPs drop again, we're going to get back to outpacing LP. We're going to start leapfrogging everything. And, I'm a BNB bull. And with everything that's happened with Binance kind of getting cleared out of the way now that CZ stepped down, put his right hand man in place, the $4.3
Mhm.
billion settlement, Binance has a really bright future. So think about the bull run and what BNB coin price is going to do alone. And then
Yeah.
we have a mechanism to outpace even that still just on the tokenomics of Elephant. it's pretty bullish long term. Like this is a token that people shouldn't ignore.
Yeah, I know. Cool. Okay, sorry, I'm just going to break for a question here from somebody. I think I kind of know the answer. I mean, to be honest with you, people need to, in my opinion, get rid of burning tokens out of their vocabulary, because that's what kills most projects, and what we saw in the bull run. But Abe's asking, why not just burn more tokens to reduce the LPs and to get the price up? I mean, that's just doing it without any thought, in my opinion. But any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I generally don't like burns either because, in my opinion, it's similar to like kind of like rebasing, right? So
Hmm.
when you burn the supply, you're just giving the current holders a stronger, what's the right term? Like a stronger proportion or a stronger. They have just more power. Basically,
You're
it's
enticing
rebasing.
people to sell more because you're artificially
Yes,
increasing the price, which causes people to
yes.
go, "Oh, I better get out now because somebody else is going to do it if I don't." And then you're almost pushing for that, which is what's messed up rebasing tokens and all that stuff you're talking about, for sure.
Yeah, no, I definitely don't. Like, there's a place for just keeping it fixed supply. We don't need to burn anything. We haven't for 3 years, and it's worked beautifully so far. It really price, in my opinion, for something that's we're still early on with this token, and there's huge upside. Liquidity is really what matters, and that's what's had this protocol survive over
Well, and
all
that's
the
what
dozens that have
makes
failed.
exactly, and that's what made your price not do ups and downs, like, because you guys really have a
Yes.
very smooth chart. Obviously, there's, like you say, the parabolic events
Yeah.
that are caused, but in the most part, if you get rid of those, it's just a smooth upward chart. And obviously, yeah, again, like you say, some price volatility right now. So again,
Yeah.
but he says, what was the price change between the low and high points during each of the parabolic events? Because I guess they're micro numbers on there. So
Oh
percentage wise,
yeah.
yeah, it's hard to tell.
I don't know the exact percentage, but I remember back when it launched because I've been in since day one. But when we were back here in the flats, and then we had this first little, you see that little bump right there?
Yeah,
That right there was, I want to say it was about 1,000% jump.
yeah,
That little bit right there. Then it corrected, and then from that correction point, we had another 900% run.
yeah.
Okay. And then we had a forced distribution from a $330 million flash loan. But
Yeah.
then, this longer organic, grassroots movement, people are each one teach one is what we call it. And, you're just teaching your friends. We did another 1,000, or maybe it was a 1,200% run. I got to look at my facts. I
No,
used
that's
to be
okay.
able
I
to,
mean, it was
yeah.
pretty substantial numbers with people that were in it, could have taken even some ROI, even taking a tenth of their profits off the table at the time, and still done very well, and still let everything ride. And even now,
Yeah.
with that chart, anybody that got in pre June or January, sorry, they're still above where it is now, and able to grow from there. So what are we talking about? Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
for
I
August,
think
sorry.
right
Yeah,
now, yeah, pretty much we're in the August territory from 2023.
yeah,
But no matter how you slice it, in my opinion, you've had three separate runs that are 900% plus, three
yeah.
separate times over 3 years already. And I just hope everyone keeps this in mind for their portfolio. But I'm just waiting for the third parabolic run. Then it'll correct, flatten out again at a higher low, and then
Mhm.
another parabolic run, flatten out. It's cyclical. It's just but we have really strong tokenomics, and it's just crazy. And there's Dune dashboards that I don't want to really go into, but it tracks all this breakdown right here: Bertha size and the LPs. Those are the two main things that this Dune dashboard tracks. The LPs are in blue, so when the LPs shrink, right, that means we're draining the LPs down. And the red is Bertha. Bertha size is going up. And then in the black line, you see the price really. So you see the flash loan that happened right here. Bertha in red disappeared. You see that. And
Yeah,
then over time, we built her right back up. And so it's just a matter of time before those ingredients come together again. So
no worries.
yeah.
Um, awesome. Now, one thing I did want to get into a little bit, and because there is still the fact that there's limited money coming in, and you guys lock money. And one of the things that I don't know if I've seen answered as well, but again, I haven't done a ton of research, is, so how does, because this is just a token, I guess. So no matter what, there's, like any token, there's money coming in, money coming out, and that's what creates this culminating effect. But being a, for lack of a better term, the Ponzi economics aspects of it, how does it grow, and how does it keep paying out people over time? Like, obviously there's no revenue generating, so is it just, how does the tokenomics create such a great ability for people to make money? I guess I'm very
No,
poorly asking that, but
that's a really good question, and I know where you're going with it. And I'll just come back to the homepage again for it, because even though we simplify the terminology and it's a community bank, it also operates like a business largely, because there's menu items when you look on this homepage. Okay, there's product market fit. You got people that are degens that just love the token; they're just going to buy the token. You got people that love NFTs, right? And you've got that as well, and you got your annuity ROI DApp style contracts. Each of these, like even just the NFTs and the elephant token alone, like this is a two-sided marketplace. These are two separate sets of investors with two different goals in mind,
mhm.
and you've got this Bertha treasury, right, that connects all of these menu items. So what do I mean by that? Remember, like these NFTs, for example, this is what they look like right here. But when they cost 2 BNB right now, when somebody mints one NFT for 2 BNB, 100% of that value, like I said earlier in the beginning, remember, that 2 BNB buys elephant token and specifically stuffs it into Bertha. The protocol bought those tokens and threw it into Bertha. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So yeah, so the NFTs, all that mint value, and I think I don't even know how many have been minted here, but over $4.5 million has been minted. All of that bought elephant token and stuffed it into Bertha, right? Same thing with futures. This is somewhat familiar if you recognize the ROI DApps, but you choose to lock up your capital, right? So I've got nearly 73,000 right here, and I earn a daily percentage off of that locked value that I can then claim it or compound it, which I'm not going to go into detail, but just understand that any of the funds that come into this annuity style contract, 90% of those funds, 90% of those funds instantly buys elephant token and stuffs it into Bertha. Okay. And then another 10% comes to the BNB reserve. But I bring all that up because you have all of these menu items. It's kind of like McDonald's, right? You got the Big Mac with the elephant token, but maybe you're not feeling that today. You want the chicken nuggets, which is over here with the NFTs, right? And you've got the fish fillet, with futures or whatever. But you've got product market fit and yield generating assets and contracts here that ultimately feed into Bertha. And what she does with that, right, is the
Mhm.
value capture. So let me just break down this very simple chart, but in the yellow on this chart, this is Bertha's token count. Remember that 198 trillion she's holding right now?
Yeah.
Over time, she slowly grows in yellow, but her dollar value is what you're seeing in blue. So over time, as she puts that squeeze on the fixed supply of the token and the LPs, her dollar value jumps up immensely compared to her token growth. So
Yeah.
that value capture is how everything in the ecosystems ultimately paid. Really, futures is the only liability of the system that gets paid out, because that's an annuity style locked up. You can kind of you can compound in it, but it's not what you think. It's not serial compounding, because I think even if you think on drip or whatever, right, you paid a 50-cent gas fee and you
Yeah.
could compound to oblivion, right? This one requires a fresh capital deposit of $200 worth of BNB going in, right?
Yeah.
And there's a whole multiplicative effect I'll talk about here in a second of why. But that's essentially what it is. You got menu items, all of it value captures tokens to go into Bertha, which then squeezes the supply.
Nice. Okay. So the NFTs act as a revenue source of sorts. Birth
Yes.
obviously generates its own because of BNB going up or down. So that helps pay out people later on, I guess. And then futures, although that's kind of like a bank account. Again, we'll go into details on these another time probably, but futures is kind of a bank account for people that want to earn a small reward. Right now, I do know, and I am aware that it got it got brought down a little bit, but I believe
Yes.
that's just a short-term thing to help keep everything healthy, and hopefully will
Yes.
increase back up when we start a bull run again. And a little bit to say, I guess, for most projects, how quickly have they either taken every or rugged or moved on, and how quickly have they not rewarded? Sorry, wording this poorly, but most projects have either gotten rid of rewards or rugged or gone away because they couldn't afford to or whatever. You guys at least have diminished your rewards, but still have plans to bring them back. And I'd be hard pressed to say that and excited to see if you guys bring that back. That would also be unlike every other protocol that we've seen in the space. Not financial advice, not trying to tell people what to do or whatever, but I think people also, because I see people and sometimes even in comments getting a little bit overly aggressive towards you guys, and I don't know if it's coming from a place of thought, only in the sense that, again, it's very easy to point fingers, but because you guys are still here, but we forget about
Yeah.
all the people that really actually screwed DeFi and screwed people in this space by not doing the responsible thing and changing things soon enough, or changing things in a time that they could rebound from, and just digging themselves in the ground, not wanting to bring that concern to the space or to their project. I guess having too much
Yeah.
pride, I guess, even in a way.
Yeah, it's kind of like, investors and participants are fickle. And unfortunately, with the rest of DeFi, we're kind of conditioned to, think a certain way. And, you just want to ROI as fast as you can. I want to
Yeah,
drain this project to the ground and I'm going to move on to the next one. All right.
yeah,
That's not what Bank Teller's about here. Okay. He's trying to simplify DeFi. He wants, as DeFi goes global, we want this accessible to grandma. And is grandma really going to be chasing meme coins and hopping around chain to chain? No, right? They kind of want a one-stop shop, and that's what Elephant Money is aiming to be. And so, yeah, futures started at like a 0.5% a day return, but then it became variable. But what's really cool about this is because when we drained the LPs, we had that third parabolic run. The futures annuity style contract actually self heals itself over time.
mhm,
Bertha starts paying more of that liability as her bag gets bigger. So let me just give you one little example, and that might wrap us up here. But let's
yeah,
take a look at some math. I'm just going to break it down real simply. Don't worry about it, right? But this is specifically just the BNB LP pair. And shout out to my friend Elephant Money Herd. He supplied me with this. But when you take a look at the pooled amount of elephant tokens versus the pooled amount of BNB coin, right? Let's say $200 comes in to the ecosystem, or matter of fact, let's say $1,000 comes in, and this can come in from anywhere. NFTs that were minted, futures, that was deposited, or even just a large buy or sell of the elephant token. And let's see what that small bit of price appreciation does to, explain this chart here. How is Bertha's token count going up, amassing all of this blue dollar value? All right.
mhm,
And this is some of the math behind it. So $1,000 comes in, and when you look at the elephant price in terms of price per million tokens, this was the price before the 1,000 came in. It was 0.273311 price per million. Then the $1,000 comes in, and look at the price change down here. It became
right,
0.273337.
yeah,
You see how the 1 turned to a 3 That
mhm,
little bit of price appreciation, when you spread that out across Bertha's token count of 198 trillion tokens, her value gain off of $1,000 coming into the ecosystem is actually $6,000 that she hodls for dear life. You know what I'm saying? She
mhm,
doesn't just dump, she hodls it and then sells less tokens over time because she's appreciating in price and value. She sells less tokens over time to meet the needs of whatever liabilities in the system. So what you have here is this hodl effect, especially when she gets bigger. This money multiplier of 6x today becomes bigger. And I'm talking, she's going to start multiplying it to 8x and 12x and 15x. And it all happens when she gets larger. Okay. Her token count right here on the left gets larger in trillion count. And then all the way over here on the right, this is that money multiplier. Right now, we're hovering in the 6x range. I just demonstrated for you. What
Mhm.
happens when she's 9.6x and 25x? It just, this is data all put together over 3 years. We know how this system works. It's proven itself time and time again over these years. And so that's why the people that are hardcore into it, they really understand and believe in it, because the math, it speaks for itself. We have the data to prove it. So yeah, it's really exciting stuff. I know I just threw a lot at you. So
No, that's
any
okay.
questions?
I want to kind of just digest that, maybe just give my own little thoughts on what that kind of means, sort of, and correct me if I'm wrong, because I am sometimes. So the idea is, Bertha almost acts like, let's say, a real bank. There, she's collecting all this money for fees, for this, for that, the other thing, just like a bank does. But instead of holding that money, appreciating it for all of themselves, it's holding that money, appreciating it, and then only dripping it on everybody, but instead of giving it to themselves again, to their shareholders, to their CEOs, and paying them massive salaries and bonuses and all this stuff, she holds on to it. And instead of being a human, emotional human, she's doing it when it's right for the market and giving it back to the bank clients, I guess, if you will. Is that fair?
Yeah, it's fair. She's the central linchpin to this bank. It's, I also, maybe this analogy would work too, but this is what I call whale economics. So think of Elon Musk and Tesla, right?
Mhm.
Elon Musk owns so many shares of Tesla that when the Tesla price goes up $1, his portfolio goes up like
Yeah.
$1 billion, right? And this is the same effect you have right here. Yeah,
Yeah.
with Bertha.
Okay. And just again to go around some of this stuff, and yeah, we will shut it down pretty soon. But so if, being that the money coming in, sorry, where was I going with that? Because there is some complexity to it, and I'm kind of just digesting it inside my brain, and I want to try and make sure I add the most value for the people watching, whether it's for them to choose to get in, or choose not to. I'm here to be an unbiased person who's just helping information get out to them and make them a decision. So when it comes to what's going on here, though, the whales, that's what I want to ask. The whales that do come into this protocol, because normally, wh- as much as we need whales in this system, they also can be both sides of the coin, right? They can
Yes.
be drainers of the system or helpers of the system. And unfortunately, normally they get to choose the timing of what they do. But because Bertha maintains the largest whale status, and there's never any one individual that does it, that's what's kind of protecting this compared to everything else on the market.
Yeah, no, that's largely it. Whales that came in early, it's okay if they want to profit take. I mean, it's better if they do it like in smaller chunks, like, hey,
Mhm.
take out like 20,000 a week or whatever. But some of them choose to giga dump. And I pulled up the holder count right here. And of the elephant money holder, you got the first four, which are the contracts. You've got that graveyard I mentioned. Remember the
Mhm.
500 trillion that I said?
Yeah.
Then you've got Bertha in second place, that 198 trillion. Then you've got the BNB pair of elephant token, and then the BUSD pair of elephant token. But then starting in number 5, this is the top human holder, and they have 2.5 trillion tokens. Now, let me tell you what recently this used to look like. The top human holder used to have 8.2 trillion tokens.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
the 100. That's the person that put in 150 G's and cashed out $2.4 million. Congrats to them, whoever they are.
Yeah.
But that 8.2 trillion person is now gone. And when they sold, they reflected tokens throughout the ecosystem, to the graveyard, to Bertha, and largely back into the LPs. That's why we're bloated again. But also all the elephant token holders, depending on your size bag, you get reflections off of these cells. So you used to have an 8.2 trillion holder. You used to
Mhm.
have a 4 trillion holder, and you used to have a 3 trillion holder. They're gone. The distribution events happened. Bertha has grown from it, and now you actually have more of a level playing field, if anything, with the current holders that are here. So yeah, whales can be a gift and a curse, but the beautiful thing is, at Elephant Money, we value capture. Every time you buy and sell, whether you're a whale or not,
Mhm.
Bertha got her cut.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, so I'm gonna, and I'm not I don't often get people putting stupid crap on the chat, and I'm gonna pull them up quickly. And I'm not trying to be rude to you. I more don't like hiding from these people, and I don't think you guys do either. And this isn't that bad. It's just some guy that's venting. So I'm gonna pull it up. I want to have a chat about it just quickly, and then we can kind of end it there. Anybody that stays till the end, they get a little treat. Um, and you can chastise me afterwards if you think this was rude. But I honestly feel I like doing this because I think it's worth it. So we started saying trash Bonzi, obviously all this crap, whatever. To me, this is stuff that, like, whatever. We're just trying to show people things. Obviously, I don't see any way that, like, this is just an attack. But his other comment, I think, maybe was more thought provoking and thoughtful. So the NFTs went to Bertha instead of generating new revenue to bring in, then got dumped on whales. So dumped by whales. Realistically, I'm looking at how the mechanics of this are done, and I don't see how that is factual. So maybe if you can be more knowledgeable in this, can correct me. But the idea here, no, is that you guys use that to help sustain everything that's going on here. And as much as the value went down in the token, it still helped sustain it more than any other project would have by doing it the way he did it. Is that fair? And do you have any
Yes.
more comments to that?
Yeah, no, I'll comment on it, and I think your assessment's spot on. And hey, I call them the fuddy duddies. They existed, right? Like if you're a successful platform, or even in anything you do, if you do not have a hater, you're not doing it right.
Yeah, true
Okay,
that.
so
Yeah.
you need those, man. Haters are my motivators. But you know, everything that's been updated, right? So even the recent APR change with futures,
Mhm.
that ultimately is well, for a couple of reasons that update occurred. It's, for one, it used to be a BUSD in and out contract, and we know BUSD is going away,
Yes.
right? So then you had to peg all those dollars to a volatile token, which is BNB. And not only that, but in conjunction with the whales who have sold, Bertha still grew, but her dollar amount is, well, this chart shows it better. Her dollar amounts just, it's depressed. So this is October. This is the sell event that I showed
Mhm.
on the chart, but
Yep.
she still largely retained value considering the
Absolutely.
fact. And when you change the APR on futures, that's to protect Bertha. You're still going to get paid. It's just not at 182% APR. Right now, it's like a 125% APR. You're still making high APR. You're
Yeah.
not going to find that in TradFi, but
Go
haters
find a
want to
bank
hate
that'll
no
give you
matter
that
what.
rate.
And this temporary, yeah, you'll never find it. And the beautiful thing again is that how it's designed, BT or bank teller, he's trying to do everything such that he can just actually retire off of this, renounce literally
Mhm.
everything, and just let it ride. But he has to be in place in certain aspects to make sure that we don't drain Bertha needlessly, because she's the one that pays the bills at the end of the day. So any of the temporary variable APR change that's happening, it's short term. It's short term pain for what's ultimately going to pay off in the end, because we already know the math that drives her value appreciation.
On
So
futures, that rate that you guys had lasted a long time. Actually, there it is right on the chart that I just realized. So April 2023. So it's been not quite a year, but still,
oh,
that's a
when
long time.
actually, I'm sorry, Crypto Stu. The blue and the yellow are correct on this, but the
Oh,
lines are kind of left over from a previous version. Futures actually came out at the end of January, so it
okay. I
actually
thought it
just
was a year.
crossed
I
the
was like,
year.
that seemed
Yeah,
too short. But okay, so yeah, so a year of those APRs is pretty significant again in this space, and to still be here again to continue on is another kudos to you guys. So, or to Elephant
yeah.
Money as a whole.
No,
Um,
absolutely. So the futures really drove, a lot of the growth from January, but then this NFT line is in the wrong spot too. This actually happened right about here on July 4th is when they launched these NFTs. And so that drew, a lot of attraction, right?
mhm.
But everything is paid out ultimately by Bertha. I know we're not going to get into it this time, but just understand when it comes to these NFTs, Bertha pays out the yield here. So this launched with one BNB as the floor price, and
Yeah,
every 10,000 mints it doubles in floor price. So now we're at two BNB. We're in
yeah,
round two essentially. Okay, when we cross 20,000 in supply, this goes to round three. So two BNB doubles again to four BNB floor price. It's kind of like real estate. It's always increasing over time. You would hope your
yeah.
investment increases. That's what's happening here. But also, you are earning rent on that plot of land you bought. And in this case, it's in the form of elephant token. You're being rewarded elephant token, an appreciating asset that's outpaced Bitcoin and Ethereum for over 2 years straight. You're earning that as a reward. And so, yeah, Bertha pays out her token count. She has like a 1% APR that comes out of her, and she supplies it to the rewards here, divided out across the staked NFT. So Bertha's 1% APR, that's just what it is. That's just the rewards there. And depending on elephant price, the APR is going to fluctuate on how many dollars you're actually receiving. But yeah, it's a really good closed loop system of any incoming funds channels into Bertha. Bertha has that multiplicative HODL effect on everything, and then just drips the rewards back out. It's just a genius system. It's never been done before. Several have tried to clone this, and they've all failed because you can't clone liquidity.
Yeah. Nope. Awesome. Okay. Well, thank you so much for that intro, and a deep intro at that, and I do appreciate it. Like I said, I've kind of taken in a lot of that stuff, and it makes sense. And again, as much as people will say whatever they want to say about every project in the space, there's always going to be fanboys and fudders. I think both of them have a place within reason, but I find them both to be negatives in their own right, unfortunately. So I do appreciate the fact that you guys have been here for as long as you have, or Elephant Money has been here for as long as it has. And I mean, I guess you can't really argue that part of it. And over time, everything else will kind of come out in the wash, whether it be you guys appreciating and continuing and carrying on for another 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever years, or whatever might happen, only because I can't predict the future. Not because I'm trying to fudge you guys. But I do enjoy, or I do appreciate the longevity and what you guys have done, and the fact that this keep growing in the space. And I think, again, if you want to diversify in the space, finding something that's been here for the longest time and having that as part of your portfolio may not be a bad thing. Not financial advice, to your own research, but do so at your own risk, and make sure that you make it only a portion of your portfolio. I don't think any of these protocols, including Elephant Money, no offense, SK, should have all of your money. And I'm sure you don't take any offense to that anyways. So yeah, so thank you so much for your time, and I do appreciate this, and I think I'll see what people say to me, obviously, because some of my community members will come to me personally and stuff. Even Nathan says he's done the same thing. He's asked me if I'm invested, and I was obviously honest with him, and he said he's still on the fence as well. So these are great opportunities, hopefully, and if more of my community want to hear about this stuff, then I'm happy to bring you guys on again, and then hopefully maybe have a little meeting with Bank Teller here would be awesome as well. As
I could certainly connect you, and it's been fantastic. If I could take one opportunity, there is a current promotion on the NFTs. If you mint a rare Black Series NFT, right? You got like 50 some odd colors, different hues and stuff. There's a rare Black Series of NFT. If you mint one, you'll get another NFT for free, and it's going to last for the next 100 mints of the Black NFT. So this could last for months, for all we know. But yeah, mint one, take your chances, and that just started yesterday too.
Awesome. So nice little bonus for anybody that might be coming in. So perfect. All right. Well, thanks again, SK, and hopefully we'll see you back on the channel again in a couple of weeks or a month or so, and see how things are going there. And I love stuff that we can have on multiple times. I think we spoke a little bit before going live. It's neat to be able to have things that actually last some period of time and have them on more often. I'm sorry it took so long for me to have any chat with Elephant Money. Like I said, it was one of those things that I just thought it was done, and unrightfully so, or ignorantly, as it were. It deserves its chance. So hopefully we'll keep being able to meet up and just see how things go. And I'm looking forward to hopefully having you on when we have the next parabolic kind of event to show that off and the benefits that it has on the community. So absolutely, man. I look forward to it, and I think that's part of why James Pelton brings us on all the time. We actually talked about a little Elephant Money roundtable one of these times. We might get you and your bongs with James Pelton, and I. But yeah, man, it was a pleasure to be here. Thank you so much for your time, Pocket Aces, man. Thank you, and yeah, man, stay blessed out there.